This is wonderful because I think that's where I know, speaking personally, I I know that there is so much more I could, if I understood and knew God better, I would do a better job in prayer. And I know I fail miserably many times. And so I want to hear from you today. I want to hear what are some of the ways that God has taught you in prayer. Do you have a couple of illustrations or some stories of some of the biggest things God's taught you in prayer? If you were to say, what would be your biggest prayer lesson that you could communicate? What comes to mind?
One of the biggest prayer lessons that I got was probably about 7 years ago. My daughter and her daughter, who was at the time probably between 2 and 3, they lived with us for probably about 9 months, 10 months, something like that. And I'm a workaholic. And so even, I work during the day at the ministry, often at the office, but usually I would come home and I'm sitting in my chair and I've got my laptop out. I'm doing different things, writing something or reading something. And Gabrielle would have none of that. She wanted my attention. And so she would often, when I was sitting in my chair, she'd often come in and she would kind of back into my legs and she'd want me to play that game where I'd wrap my legs around her and kind of squeeze and I'd say, "I got you, Gabrielle." And she would say, "No, Grampy, I've got you." And I'd say, "No, Gabrielle, I've got you." And she'd say, "No, Grampy, I've got you." And we'd go back and forth. Well, the truth of the matter is, she did have me. That she had my attention. I had put my laptop away. I was fully engaged with her. And that's one of the things I think that I learned even in that of what prayer is that we call out to God, cry out to God. We offer, our prayers, and maybe we come wanting something, needing something, but He's got our attention. He's got, and there's a relational thing that takes place. The other thing that I learned that was huge in my walk was when I moved, and this was when I was probably about 30 years of age, and I had grown up in the church. My dad was a pastor. I came to faith in Christ at an early age. I was probably 6, 7 at a vacation Bible school. And I knew how to pray. I mean, I went to church. I was in youth group. If I was called on to pray, I could pray. But until I was probably 30 years of age, prayer wasn't a part of my daily walk with God. I was a crisis prayer. So I could pray if I knew, something was happening in the life of somebody I really cared about or my own life, and I wanted to see God do something. I could pray. I could pray with passion, but I really hadn't learned that daily communing aspect of prayer. And that really didn't come, as I said, until I was probably 30 years of age. And curiously, it came in a time of intense emotional struggle in my life, which is... Anybody who's been a believer for any length of time knows that we grow deeper, quicker in those times of pain, of struggle, and so forth. And so that was a big thing that moved me into a deeper level of prayer. And so I would say probably those are the two biggest experiences of prayer that I've had.